Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Bodies found along dirt road in St. Catherine. The bodies of two men were found along a dirt road off Old Harbour Road in St. Catherine yesterday morning. The deceased, who are yet to be identified, were found near a cricket complex that is being constructed along the roadway. It is reported that explosions were heard about 6:30 a.m. and the police were subsequently called. When the police arrived, it is reported that the men were discovered suffering from gunshot wounds. Investigators removed several spent casings from the scene. A senior investigator told reporters that the deceased are from Point Hill community in St. Catherine. Man fatally shot by a cop at car wash in Spanish Town. A man was shot and killed by a policeman at a car wash in Spanish Town, St. Catherine yesterday afternoon. The incident happened about 3:20 p.m. It is reported that the policeman was at the car wash, which is located at the intersection of William and French Streets, when he noticed a man who was acting in a manner that aroused his suspicion. The police reportedly attempted to accost him, and the man allegedly pointed a gun at the cop, who opened fire. The man was shot. A Smith & Wesson pistol was reportedly recovered. Following the shooting, security forces blanketed the area. The area remains tense, with businesses along the Cumberland Road corridor closed. Man freed in Klansman trial arrested in Spanish Town. Damien Elliston, one of 5 alleged members of the St. Catherine-based Klansman gang freed last month, was on Tuesday taken into police custody during an operation in Damhead, Spanish Town in the parish. He was reportedly found with a firearm in his possession and was held in connection with the recent murder of an alleged gang member. Elliston, in late May, was among 5 accused freed during the insufficient evidence in the ongoing trial of alleged members of the Klansman gang. He, along with other men, have been charged for being a part of a criminal organization. Additionally, Elliston had faced charges in connection with allegedly conspiring to murder an individual known as Wee Wee in 2015 and a November 2017 murder at a tire shop in the parish. Quit naming public infrastructure after yourselves, commentators tell politicians. Political commentators are calling for politicians to reject the urge to immortalize themselves and their colleagues by sticking their names on buildings and monuments funded with taxpayers' money. For years, Jamaica has adopted the common practice of naming public infrastructure after politicians. Some notable infrastructure named after politicians include the Norman Manley International Airport, the Michael Manley National Housing Trust Building, and the Bustamante and Edward Seaga Highway. The latest on the long list is the new shelter for homeless people in downtown Kingston, named the Desmond Mackenzie Transitional Center for the Homeless, after the sitting Member of Parliament and local government minister. A resolution for the homeless shelter at 163 to 167 King Street to bear Mackenzie's name was approved at the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation Council meeting in May, citing what it said is the lasting impact Mackenzie has had on people island-wide while performing duties as mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew. Speaking with reporters, political commentators Kenneth Powell criticized the move and called for politicians to resist the urge to engage in the practice he believes is unethical. That urge to immortalize themselves by sticking their names on public property demonstrates a kind of inflated ego that certainly rubs me the wrong way. One would hope that politicians would show a little bit more thought and be a little bit more circumspect than to just run headlong to put their names on the public infrastructure Powell shared. It's certainly quite distasteful when you're talking about an actual sitting politician in representational politics who presumably is going to fight 2 or 3 more elections, and somebody who is regularly poking fun at his political opponents and in the heat of political battle. Certainly, it's advisable to stick a person like that name on public infrastructure that is there to serve everybody. It is there to serve PNP, JLP, no P. It's there to serve everybody. So I call into question the thought process and the good sense of the people who took that decision, he continued. While Paul was uncertain if this was the first time a public infrastructure was being named after a sitting member of parliament, he expressed hopes it would not be repeated. We shouldn't repeat it. I think under the best circumstances, where the politician in question has long retired or even passed away, that would be the best of circumstances if you're going to try to immortalize that person, to honor that person by putting their name on public infrastructure. Even then, that's still iffy because politicians are people and they often have complex legacies. And when you put somebody's name on political infrastructure, that is to immortalize the person and to lionize the person. That the kind of honoring and immortalizing might not tell the full story of who that person was and the fullness of their impact on politics on the country, he explained. Failing to find a political benefit, Powell chalked the practice up to ego. I can't see how it helps in future elections. I think this is all just an ego trip. I don't know that putting Desmond Mackenzie on this homeless shelter means that the JLP gets more votes or that Desmond Mackenzie gets more votes. It's ego, he said. The commentator suggested other categories is respectable Jamaican who could be used as an alternative to naming public infrastructure after politicians. Jamaica isn't short of famous, important people who are non-politicians, who are not involved in the cut and such of percent politics. We have a lot of distinguished sons and daughters of the soil that we could, if we wanted to honor them by putting their names on public infrastructure, Powell shared. But guess what? You don't have to put anybody's name on it. You could put the name of the parish on it, call it the Central Kingston Homeless, and drop in center. Name it after the geographical era that it's in. There is absolutely no need to put the name of a human being, whether that human being is dead or alive or retired. But I mean, if you have to put a name on it, look for somebody who is non-partisan, who is generally respected across the board, maybe somebody who has been involved in the same kind of sector that the infrastructure is related to. Put that person's name on the building, he continued. Political commentator Dr. Paul Ashley went beyond calling for the cessation of the exercise. He demanded the removal of the previously appointed names. The position is, it is not being financed and maintained by the Member of Parliament nor the politician. It is being maintained and financed by the taxpayers of this country. Indeed, some of the politicians that it is named after never even have driven on the road. I can't see the relevance of naming infrastructure after political figures, Dr. Ashley said, adding, I am in for not only the cessation, but the removal of the names from my days and all of them. It is not any politicians who have contributed to the development in Jamaica, so I can't see why everywhere you turn, a politician have a road name I give to him. He is being paid for the work he has done, and some of them who have the roads named after them never really business but infrastructure. In fact, some of them have objected to the building of the very road, and yet still it's named after them, he continued. Pointing to other notable individuals who have helped to build the country, Dr. Asher said, we should look at honoring the variety of Jamaicans who have contributed to the development of Jamaica. I have no objection to having Coley Smith drive because Coley Smith is a noted cricketer. I will have no objections to naming something after Elaine Thompson-Hero. She brings fame to Jamaica. Some of these politicians are not known outside Jamaica. They not even know outside the constituency that the infrastructure is in. Dr. Lecky Braden Cow, we have famous poets internationally known. We have cricketers who have brought international fame, glory, and attention to Jamaica. Some of these politicians have been worthless. We have well-known doctors. We have people in agriculture, everything, but everywhere you turn, you'll feel there is only politicians matter in Jamaica. Dr. Ashley added, because we're an ex-colonial society, if you notice every town have a King Street, and we tend to name important streets after the colonizers. Now we replace them by the politicians. We have the politicians contributing towards the road building? Nothing. Some of the roads have disgracefully potholes, so it's not even a fitting memory of the individuals. And politicians are paid to do the work, and some of them get money by, let us say, extra legal means, so some of them were corrupt yet, still we are naming roads, schools, hospitals, Housing schemes, ridiculous. And then, after you name it after the past politicians, we happen to have present politicians who I look at name too. What are we going to do? He further pointed to different cultures where infrastructures are given generic names not associated with politicians. Let us have Highway H1, H2, H3. If you're in the States, US, you're on the I-95 and you come off at bypass 4 or whatever, and look how many politicians in the United States. We must stop this foolishness, man. I'm not in the naming infrastructure after politicians, and some of the roads are in a disgraceful state, and some of the schools need funding. What about the maintenance of all those buildings you name after the politicians? I'm not into that. You soon hear people grabbing for who gonna get named part of the highway to go to Morant Bay. No, sir. We Jamaican taxpayers. We pay for it. We pay for the maintenance. And when it done, then put a toll on it. No, sir, bother we. Nothing after that. After all, you name the money after them. You name the school after them. You name the highway after them. You soon have hell now for them fight for name Jamaica after them, he continued. Politicians are paid public servants who are here for a time. Some of them have nothing to be proud of. Maybe, if we want the cynical, we name some jailhouses after them. Maybe it will be more appreciated and appropriate to name some prisons after them, with how corruption going, Dr. Ashley stated. Meanwhile, political commentator Michael Berg said public infrastructure should be named strictly through an impartial committee, such as the one that organizes national honors and awards. It should be an impartial committee of historians and other people who check about what people have done. Those are the people who should name, not politicians, and certainly people should not be naming things after themselves, he explained. Let the next generation determine the work and worth of Desmond Mackenzie and decided that it should not be decided by politicians, Burke added. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.